What's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I am Rochelle Kumodran.
and I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
President Anurakumara Dissanayake meets President Xi Jinping. Sri Lankan government will back the One China policy, assures President Dissanayake. 25 vessels turned back due to delays in container clearances. Swift action taken to reduce congestion. Multiple districts battered by heavy rain. 49 large-scale and 23 medium-scale reservoirs overflowing. Drug kingpin Velesuda sentenced to 8 years rigorous imprisonment for amassing more than 17 million rupees through drug trafficking. South Korean authorities defy rallying supporters to arrest suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol. Opponents level claims of abuse of legislative power. Cess tax on cement reduced. Price of a bag of cement to drop by 100 rupees.
In our top story for tonight, Chinese President Xi Jinping has expressed that China is ready to collaborate with Sri Lanka for a new era of development. He expressed these views during a bilateral meeting with President Anurakumara Dissanayake today in Beijing.
President Anurakumara Dissanayake was formally welcomed this afternoon at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing.
上鸣礼炮21响。政治局委员、中央外事工。在习近平陪同下，检阅。
The two leaders engaged in cordial discussions.
Sri Lanka is pleased with the significant progress made in economic, industrial and technological cooperation as well as human development under the China-Sri Lanka partnership. Our government remains committed to the One China policy in all areas, including bilateral and multilateral forums. Over the years, China has played a key role in Sri Lanka's socio-economic development, and I am confident that this visit will further strengthen our cooperation for the growth and prosperity of our nations and people.
Posting on X, President Anurakumara Dissanayake said he engaged in meaningful discussions with President Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of the People. He added that talks focused on strengthening the enduring friendship between Sri Lanka and China while exploring new avenues for future investments. President Xi Jinping reaffirmed the long-standing ties between China and Sri Lanka and expressed China's readiness to continue working closely with Sri Lanka in the future. He further emphasized the continued cooperation in various sectors including economic, social and industrial fields. During the visit, several MOUs were signed between the two countries as well.
15 MOUs were signed between the two countries. The 15 MOUs are important to key sectors including education, media and culture. This will benefit Sri Lanka in the future. The Chinese president also assured us that China will support Sri Lanka and provide us with various sorts of assistance.
චීනය දිගටමත් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට විවිධ ආකාරයෙන් ආධාර උපකාර කරන බවට අපිට පොරොන්දු වුණා.
Earlier today, President Anurakumara Dissanayake visited the exhibition on the history of the Communist Party of China. He explored the historic Prince Kung's Palace and paid tribute at the Mao Zedong Memorial.
This is where dreams take flight, where stars are born, and the future of international cricket shines the brightest.
She is setting the stage alight.
16 nations will compete for World Cup glory in Malaysia.
She is putting on a show here.
And they are champions.
The ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup 2025 begins January 18 on TV1.
මේ වසන්තේ මේ ආරාධනය විසේකාර දඟකාර හැඩකාර කුමාරයන්ට සහ කෝල කොමල මනලෝල කුමාරියන්ටයි මේ වසන්තේ සිරස වසන්ත කුමරා සහ කුමරිය ලෙස කිරුළු පළදින්න දැන්ම සැරසෙන්න වයස අවුරුදු 18ත් 25ත් අතර කුමාරයන් සහ කුමාරියන් මෑතකදී ගත් ඡායාරූපයක් සමග පෙබරවාරි 20 වෙනිදාට පෙර අයදුම් කරන්න. ලිපිනය නිෂ්පාදක සිරස වසන්ත කුමරා සහ කුමරිය ස්ටයින් ස්ටුඩියෝ බොරුපන පාර රත්මලාන. පිවිසෙන්න awurudu.sirasatv.lk.
Welcome back to the news. Deputy Minister of Ports and Civil Aviation, Ruwan Kodituaku, said that 25 vessels arriving in the country were turned away due to delays in customs clearance process. He made this remark while speaking to the media following an inspection tour of the Orugodawata container clearance yard.
According to the data received, about 25 to 30 ships have been turned away and sent back. There are two reasons for that. One is the delay in interterminal transfers.
What is causing this delay and what's the solution? The Deputy Minister conducted a thorough inquiry into the matter today. Due to delays in the clearance of imported containers at the Colombo port, long queues of container trucks have been observed on both sides of the roads in areas such as Orugodawata and Totalanga for the past few weeks. In response, President Andrukumara Dissanayake recently called for a special discussion to address the situation. Representatives from Customs, the Ports Authority, Container Transport Owners Association and Wharf Service officers participated in the discussion. Several decisions were made and Sri Lanka Customs, along with other institutions, agreed to provide 24-hour services to alleviate the congestion. As a result, 472 containers were released from the main terminals yesterday and 547 containers were cleared by Sri Lanka Customs and released through the port gates. However, there was still some congestion at the Orugodawata container clearance yard operated by Sri Lanka Customs today.
බ්ලොක් එකේ විදිහම තියෙනවා. මේ ඊරා පටවපු ටැංකිය තාම තියෙනවා. පැය 7-8 10ක් විතරන බලන්න. බැලීම ප්‍රමාදයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට රෑ ආපු ටැංකිය අද රෑ වෙනකම්ම ලොරිය මෙතන. ඉතින් ඊළඟ ලොරිය ඇවිල්ලා කොහෙද දාන්නේ? පැය 24 වැඩ ගන්න කියලා කිව්ව නිසා දැන් බොහෝ යථා තත්ත්වයට මේක පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. තාම විසඳුමක් නැහැ. දවස් දෙකක් අපිට එහෙම බ්ලොක් වෙන්න වෙනවා. ඉන්න වෙනවා. රෑ 10 11 වෙනකොට 12 වෙනකොට බලන්නේ.
Now that the customs has suddenly decided to operate 24 hours a day, we are facing challenges in our industry, particularly with staffing. After COVID, import activities significantly decreased, and with the rise in exchange rates, fewer people were bringing in goods. As a result, we downsized significantly and had to lay off many employees in certain areas. This has created difficulties in employing enough staff to accommodate the sudden shift to 24-hour operations.
How can this problem be resolved?
We believe that the solution requires a collective effort from everyone in the shipping industry. It's not just about customs, but also the Ports Authority, wharf officials, shipping agents, SLSI and other relevant government agencies. Only through their collaboration can this problem be effectively resolved.
Association of Container Transporters has emphasized the need for steps to be taken to expedite the clearance process.
We have no objection to the examination work being carried out, but we are urging that it be done quickly without any delays. A number of containers have already been cleared as per the President's request, and I believe that if we continue to work at this pace, the congestion will gradually decrease.
What is the real problem here? Since 2019, the average number of containers entered for customs clearance has been under 1,000. However, in the past 2 months, this number has increased significantly. The Ceylon Wharf Services Association has highlighted that there is a lack of sufficient staff to handle the clearance process effectively.
The size and capacity of our scanners are insufficient to handle the volume. As a result, customs officers face difficulties and in some cases they are forced to completely unload a 40-foot container. The other issue is the shortage of labourers. Due to this lack of workforce, it takes 6 to 7 hours to fully unload a container. We cannot blame the officers for this delay, as it is directly tied to the shortage of workers.
Who is really responsible for this?
The delays are not solely the responsibility of Sri Lanka Customs. In fact, many institutions share responsibility for these delays. It is not just customs that should operate 24 hours a day. Other entities such as banks, shipping lines, customs clearance officers, importers, other government institutions and terminal officers must also be working around the clock. If only one institution is operating 24/7 while the others do not, it will not effectively address the issue.
What steps can be taken to solve the problem?
We are now receiving strong support from other government agencies, particularly those involved in testing the goods, such as cargo inspectors, goods production representatives and lorry drivers. With the cooperation of these people and institutions, we are hopeful that we will be able to significantly minimize the congestion within the next 7 to 8 days.
The Department of Meteorology forecasts showers or thunder showers that will occur at times in the north central, eastern, over and central provinces. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in the eastern province and in Matale, Nuwara and Polonnaru districts as well. The department added that fairly strong winds of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the eastern slope of the central hills and northern, eastern, north central, northwestern and Uva provinces and in Hambantota district.
In response to the rising water levels due to heavy rainfall, the Department of Irrigation has opened spill gates at several major reservoirs, including the Parakrama Samudra and Kalaweva. In Anuradhapura, heavy rainfall over the past 24 hours has led to severe flooding, particularly impacting farming communities. In Andaravava, over 10 acres of farmland have been submerged. Paddy harvested over 1.5 months during the Maha season have been destroyed. In Iraramadu Kilinochi, all 14 spill gates have been opened, each by 1 foot, to manage the water levels. Newsfirst correspondents reported that several paddy fields have been submerged due to heavy rainfall. Paddy fields in Rajagalathanna have been submerged due to heavy rainfall in Navagiriava, located at the border of the Ampara and Batticaloa districts. Newsfirst correspondents reported that due to the heavy rainfall, the Janaranjana Vava in Suryapura, Peramaduwa Vava in Kantale and the Van Ala Vava have overflowed. The Akminurul Ulam Primary School in Potwil was inundated today. 2 spill gates of Kalaweva have been opened by 8 feet each. The section from Aukana to Kakirava had been inundated due to the overflowing of the Kalaoya. Several vavas in Palagala Anuradhapura are overflowing as well. Spill gates of the Rajangane Reservoir have also been opened. A total of 8 spill gates have been opened, with 4 gates opened by 5 feet, 2 by 4 feet and the remaining 2 by 3 feet each. Meanwhile, the Tissa Vava in Anuradhapura continues to overflow. The spill gates of the Hurulu Vava are still being opened with a release rate of 1,552 cubic feet of water per second. Due to the ongoing heavy rainfall, water levels of the Nachadua Reservoir have risen, prompting the opening of 6 spill gates by 4 feet. Spill gates of the Kaudulla, Minneria and Giritale reservoirs in Polonnaru are also being opened. According to Newsfirst reporters, 6 spill gates of the Parakrama Samudra in Polonnaru have been opened by 2 feet each. 5 spill gates of the Yoda Ala have been opened due to heavy rainfall in Sigiriya and Galloya. The Kandalama Reservoir in Dambulla is also currently overflowing. This was the situation in Konduwatwana, Ampara today. Efforts to remove the sand deposit in front of the eroded bank of the Galloya, which was at risk of collapsing yesterday, commenced this afternoon with the intervention of the Department of Irrigation. Due to the risk of the eroded bank breaking and causing a flood, the residents of Samapura Suduwella have been evacuated and were allowed to return to their homes. These residents were temporarily sheltered at the Ampara Mahavapi temple. Ampara District Secretary Chintaka Abevikrama stated that 135 individuals from 44 families were evacuated. With the danger now subsided, the residents were safely returned home with the assistance of security forces.
We were informed by the Ineagala power plant that a certain amount of water should be released, which led to a flood risk in the upper Samapur area. Given the situation, we anticipated a potential danger if the water level rose due to increased rainfall overnight. Therefore, we brought you here. However, the risk has now subsided. The District Secretary and the Irrigation Engineering Office have informed us about the current water levels, which is why we are sending the evacuees back. The Disaster Management Committee is active and should be adhered to.
The Court of Appeal today issued an interim order preventing the arrest of former Minister of Public Security Tiran Alas and the directors of Ceylon Newspapers Private Limited by the Criminal Investigation Department. This order was issued in connection with an incident involving the alleged breach of a paper supply agreement for printing newspapers. A writ petition was filed before the Court of Appeal stating that there was an imminent plan to arrest the former minister and others involved. After considering the petition today, the Court of Appeal issued the interim order effective until the 21st of January. The petition was reviewed by a bench comprising of the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Nissanka Bandula Karunaratne and Justice B. Shashi Mahendran. President's Counsel Dr. Romesh De Silva appeared on behalf of the petitioner, instructed by Attorney-at-Law Sanath Wijewardena.
Gampola Vidanage Samantha Kumara, also known as Vele Sudha, along with his wife and another woman, was sentenced to 8 years of rigorous imprisonment. They were found guilty of 17 charges, including the possession of assets and funds worth approximately 170 million rupees acquired through drug trafficking over the past 2 years and 3 months.
The court, presided over by Judge Aditya Patabandige, ordered the confiscation of several luxury houses, 4 high-end vehicles and 3.5 kilograms of gold jewellery, all purchased with money earned from heroin trafficking. Additionally, multiple bank accounts held by the accused containing over 12 million rupees were also ordered to be seized. The High Court judge imposed the sentence after the Attorney General's department successfully proved the charges beyond a reasonable doubt during a lengthy trial. The court also imposed a fine exceeding 16 million rupees on the 3 convicts. In the event of non-payment, they will face an additional 38 years of imprisonment. The judge emphasized that the assets were acquired through illegal drug trafficking as evidenced by the documents and testimonies presented in court. Highlighting the severe damage caused to the country by drug trafficking, the judge stated that lenient sentences could not be granted as requested by the defense. The prosecution was led by Deputy Solicitor General Sudarshana De Silva.
In tonight's edition of What Happened to the Village, we explore the fate of once promising Naga industrial village, now abandoned.
What happened to the village?
In 1992, the Nagampaha Industrial Village was established with high hopes for the future. Designed to boost the local economy, it operated smoothly for about 5 years. But today, more than 25 years later, it has fallen into complete disrepair, with nature slowly reclaiming the land. What was once a thriving hub of concrete buildings and industrial activity has now turned into a burden.
කොන්ක්‍රීට් නඩප්පලක් තිබුණ ස්ථානයක් අද වල්බිහි වෙලා දි รา පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ වගේ ගොඩනැගිලි ගොඩක් මේ අවට ගොඩනැගලා තියෙන කර්මාන්තපුරේ වෙනුවෙන්. නමුත් ඒවා ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණය කරලා නැවත ප්‍රදේශවාසීන්ගේ ප්‍රයෝජනය සඳහා යම් කර්මාන්ත කරුවන්ට ලබා දීම සුදුසු තමයි අපේ යෝජනා අපි කරන්නේ.
අවශ්‍ය ජල ටැංකි පවා මෙහි ඉදි කරා ඒවත් දැනට දි รา පත් වෙලා කඩන විනාශ වෙලා ගිහින් තියෙනවා. දැනටත් මේ විදුලි රැහන් ලැබපු ඒ කණු මේක වටේකට තියෙනවා.
අපිට හරි නිදහසෙන් ඉන්න පුළුවන් මේ සෑහෙන කෙනෙකුට මේක රාශාවලුත් තියෙනවා. ඒ හන්ද මේක දියුණිය නම් බොහොම හොඳයි.
Despite falling short of expectations, there is still hope that with the right investment, the Naga industrial village could be revived for local use. What if it became a reality? Should the government start exploring ways to rebuild it? After all, the politicians will have to visit the village soon to secure votes for the next election.
What happened to the village?
How do children become successful individuals? It's through the education they receive at school. Just as students need education, schools need basic facilities to support their learning. But what about the many schools that lack these essential facilities? How do the little ones manage to learn under such difficult conditions? Isn't it heartbreaking to see these young children struggling so hard to get an education? This is the story of one such school.
At the Galloya Junction Primary School in Hinguragoda, dreams are nurtured. The children here attend this school because it is the best and closest option available to them. However, they face significant challenges. There is no clean drinking water available. These children, thirsty for knowledge, are left helpless without necessary resources. Those who love to dance have no proper place to practice. Students eager to advance in information technology lack the facilities to do so.
මේක දුෂ්කර පාසලක් ගුරුවරු 13 දෙනෙක් මේ පාසලේ අධ්‍යයන කටයුතු කරනවා. මේ පාසලට මම එනකොටත් තිබුණ ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි මේ දරුවන්ට ජලය පානය කරන්නට අවශ්‍ය පිරිසුදු පානීය ජලය නොමැති බව. නැටුම් සහ තොරතුරු තාක්ෂණ විෂය හදාරන්නට පන්ති කාමර නැහැ මේ දරුවන්ට. එතකොට මිදුල එලිමහන් තමයි පාවිච්චි කරන්නට වෙන්නේ.
These children were met by the Gammatha Polonnaruwa team as they went door to door meeting the community. The sorrowful stories from the line rooms of Shantipura Varakapala in Kegol were deeply felt as Gammatha went from door to door. This is home to approximately 16 families. They can only make ends meet if they work every day in the rubber plantations. Otherwise, they have to find income through odd jobs or by collecting firewood. Despite living here, they have no ownership rights to these places.
Gammatha, door to door.
Newsfirst with the people.
South Korean investigators detained impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol at his residence in their second attempt to take him into custody for questioning over his short-lived imposition of martial law. A warrant to detain Yoon was executed at 10:33 a.m. according to the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials, marking the first time a sitting president has been arrested.
A convoy of vehicles carrying Yoon left the presidential residence compound in central Seoul shortly afterward to head to the CIO office in Gocheon, just south of Seoul. Yoon was stepping out of a car and entering the office to undergo questioning before investigators seek a warrant to formally arrest him within 48 hours. Yoon, who is suspended from duty following his impeachment by the National Assembly on December 14th, faces charges of insurrection and abuse of power. He is accused of sending troops to the National Assembly after declaring martial law on the night of December 3rd to stop lawmakers from voting down the decree. Yoon is expected to be held at the Seoul Detention Center in Yuang near the CIO's office following questioning. The president has defended his declaration of martial law as an act of governance meant to send a warning to the main opposition Democratic Party over what he described as its abuse of legislative power. In a recorded video message released after his arrest, Yoon remained defiant, saying, quote, "Although it is an illegal investigation, I decided to agree to appear at the CIO in order to prevent ugly bloodshed." End quote. The arrest followed hours of talks between investigators and Yoon's side at his residence over how to detain him and take him away for questioning. Investigators used ladders to enter the presidential residence compound in central Seoul after being blocked by the PSS, which set up a barricade using vehicles near the entrance. They were also blocked by a group of lawmakers from the ruling People Power Party and Yoon's lawyers at the entrance. Police deployed some 3,000 personnel to secure access to the compound, with physical clashes taking place between investigators and Yoon's supporters. Fire authorities arrived at the scene to treat a middle-aged woman on the ground.
The fate of TikTok and its 170 million American users hangs in the balance as the Supreme Court considers the constitution of a law that would ban the platform in the US if its China-based owner ByteDance doesn't sell off its US operation by the 19th of January. If the court upholds the law, as a lower court did last month, TikTok's days in the country would be numbered.
In a move that could reshape the American social media landscape, TikTok faces a potential ban in the United States on Sunday unless its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, sells the platform. The ban stems from a bipartisan law passed by Congress in April 2024 and signed by President Joe Biden, giving ByteDance 9 months to find a US-approved buyer or face being shut down. Described by the US Justice Department as a national security threat of immense depth and scale, there are concerns that ByteDance could be forced to hand over American user data to the Chinese government, an allegation TikTok and ByteDance firmly deny. And while President-elect Donald Trump has requested that the Supreme Court delay the ban to seek a political solution after taking office, the stakes remain high for an app used by an estimated 170 million Americans monthly. At the heart of the TikTok controversy lies questions about data privacy and algorithmic content delivery. Like other major social platforms, TikTok uses user data to power its content recommendation system, and the extent and nature of its data collection practices have become a focal point in the debate over its future in the US market.
Winds that have fanned wildfires in the US city of Los Angeles are again expected to kick up once again today after the 25th death from the huge week-long outbreak was confirmed.
Forecasters have again identified an area of quote-unquote extreme fire danger, emphasizing the risk level in a region to the northwest of the city centre. The anticipated increase in wind speeds threatens to further fan the remaining 4 blazes, which firefighters have made further progress in tackling during a few days of calmer conditions. The 25th death was confirmed by the LA County Medical Examiner's Office. 13 other people remain missing. Tens of thousands of people are still under evacuation orders, where nighttime curfews also apply, and thousands of homes have been destroyed in one of the costliest natural disasters in American history. The winds are expected to peak again for a period of 12 hours, according to the local office of the National Weather Service. Gusts could reach up to 80 kilometers per hour.
Moving back to news here at home, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amara has outlined the government's commitment to improving the professional development of individuals graduating from the public education sector. She expressed these views at the 4th Membership Award ceremony of the Institution of Incorporated Engineers today.
While we have a primary responsibility to ensure that those coming out of especially our public education system are oriented towards serving their society, we also need to recognize that we are members of a global society and change and adapt accordingly and make sure that the qualifications that we provide enable all of our professionals to competitively face global society. We need to make sure that the educational qualifications we offer are accompanied by professional recognition, value, and career paths. As a government, we want to make sure that each category of professionals is valued, appreciated, and enabled to develop. We also want more collaboration, more holistic thinking. I think you also pointed to that. And the ability to think as a community of professionals contributing in our various capacities to the development of society.
The Prime Minister expressed these views at the 4th Membership Award ceremony of the Institution of Incorporated Engineers. A group of engineers was honoured with membership in the prestigious Institution of Incorporated Engineers.
The United States of America has praised the new government of President Andrukumara Dissanayake for its dedication to economic reforms and anti-corruption measures. U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung said, as the United States prepares to inaugurate President Trump, there will be a transition of the U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka later this year.
The new Andrukumara Dissanayake government just started a few months ago, and in 5 days we will have a new swearing in of our own new president in the United States, and sometime in this year of 2025 you will see a transition of ambassadors as well. We welcome the Sri Lankan government's commitment to staying on track with the IMF program and finalization of its international sovereign bond restructuring, and also to its commitment to combating corruption and working with partners like AmCham to create a transparent, rules-based investment climate that will drive growth. For we know that stability alone isn't enough. You have to take that next step to generate more growth and more productivity and create better financial and economic habits for the long run. With the launch of the government's recent Clean Sri Lanka, that indicates not just a clean environment, but a resetting of political and economic cultures. We look forward to seeing what concrete steps are made and how we can all contribute to this pledge of reforms, whether it's on anti-corruption or beyond. Will inefficient state-owned enterprises be reformed? Will contracts be honored? Will foreign companies have a level playing field and not face protectionist policies? Where will AI take us in this new year of business? Meanwhile, we recognize there are many global challenges ongoing that affect Sri Lanka, the US, many countries in the international community. Whether it's shipping delays continuously caused by the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, or economic headwinds caused by Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine, or other political flashpoints that cause downstream economic disruptions. We can do our best to plan, to mitigate, and to see how we can best navigate through these and future challenges. The U.S. is already doing that through our Development Finance Corporation loans to small and medium business enterprises, supporting entrepreneur training, providing technical assistance through our Treasury Department and USAID on areas like renewable energy, procurement, and tax revenue reform. The U.S. is already the leading export market for Sri Lanka, a significant contributor to Sri Lanka's economy.
The Elevate Sri Lanka CEO Forum 2025 took place in Colombo. Organized by the American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka, Elevate Sri Lanka CEO Forum 2025 is a platform for impactful dialogue, strategic insights, and powerful networking.
So I am sure most of you are aware of the game that Sri Lanka is going to play. We are not going to pay our debt by savings. We are going to pay our debt and the interest again by borrowing from the market. There's a stark difference between the two. We are going to roll over the debt again by borrowing money. And when you look at the government budget, if the Treasury Secretary writes down the main expenditure items, healthcare, education, defense, everything, there's one line item always gets on the top of the list, which is a drastic difference from completely rest of the line items. That's just the interest payment, not the debt payment, it's the interest. So on that context, we have to think about digitization. The only way out that I see is by growing the economy. But there's a challenge. To grow the economy, you can bring investment. But getting investment is also not easy because we are just out of default. You need to upgrade your credit rating if you need to get serious investment. Improving the social safety net, having the poor people the access for money, bringing the transaction cost down, that is a groundbreaking reform which we need to move. But the challenge is again, we really do not have money because the government is already in a deficit. So on that context, we have to work with the bilateral and the multilateral partners to get the investment for digital public infrastructure.
3 candidates have been nominated for the position of President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka.
Nominations for the election to appoint the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, which is scheduled to be held on February 19th, were submitted today. The candidates contesting for the position of President are Attorney Rajiv Amarasuriya, Attorney Dr. Sunil Aberatna, and President's Counsel Anura Maddegoda.
I was appointed as the President of the Bar Association 3 months ago on September 28th, following a unanimous election by the Supreme Council. Since then, I have been serving as the President. I look forward to continuing the initiatives I have planned at the end of this year and after the elections in February as well. I have served the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for over 30 years, both as a council representative and as an officer. My sole commitment is to protect the rights of the legal community. We stand for positive change and the development of the legal profession within our legal system. Over the past 2 years, we have made significant strides in improving both the profession and the system for the better.
Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources Ramalingam Chandrasekhar said the government will proceed with conducting the Provincial Council elections.
The administrative office of the National People's Power was officially inaugurated today in Thalayadi, Jaffna. Minister Ramalingam Chandrasekhar, Member of Parliament K. Ilankumaran and several others attended the event.
In the April
we are preparing to hold the local government elections this April, which will give us an opportunity to bring about meaningful change for the people. After that, we will move forward with the Provincial Council elections, which will be carried out in line with the 13th Amendment. To those who claim to be politicians and nationalists and are questioning whether these elections will happen under the 13th Amendment, we have a straightforward response. The laws, policies and constitutional framework that have shaped our country up until now were not created by us, nor by you, but by the ruling powers. The people who have governed this country until today have been nothing but capitalist rulers. Our stance is simple and clear. We are committed to creating a new political system that truly represents the will of all citizens, one that is strong, enduring, and stands for the people of this nation.
மக்களுக்கு சார்பான புதிய அரசியல் அமைப்பொன்றை கொண்டு வர வேண்டும் என்பதே எங்களுடைய நிலைப்பாடு.
The order presented by the officials of the Ministry of Finance to reduce the cess tax on cement received approval from the Committee on Public Finance.
The price of a kilogram of cement will decrease by a rupee, leading to a reduction of approximately 100 rupees per bag of cement. Considering order under Section 14 of the Sri Lanka Export Development Act, number 40 of 1979, published in the Extraordinary Gazette, number 2400/25, the chair of the Committee on Public Finance instructed officials of the Ministry of Finance to take necessary measures to ensure that revenue generated through the cess tax imposed for export development is directly transferred to the relevant financial institutions. Additionally, the order to reduce the tax imposed on the export of rock boulders, which was introduced during the construction of the Hambantota port, was also approved by the committee. Accordingly, a tax of 1,000 rupees per cubic meter will be levied for the export of 1 million metric tons of rock boulders.
Today was day one of the 3rd South Asia Agri Forum held in Colombo.
The South Asian Agri Forum will focus on key issues such as improving food security and exploring strategies to boost intra-regional trade in critical agricultural sectors.
In 2024, the country's total agricultural exports amounted to approximately $2.5 billion. With tea, rubber, of course, and spices lead the way. Additionally, our coconut and our coconut-based products have been seen an increased demand and has brought us about $400 million in export revenues. As we look into the future, Sri Lanka is committed to adopting innovative practices that you are professing that enhance productivity, quality and sustainability in agriculture. We're actively exploring precision agriculture, value addition and organic farming to meet evolving global demands. At the same time, our government is prioritizing infrastructure development, capacity building and policy reforms to create a conducive environment agriculture. A government that was called or was meant to be for a closed economic type of government, of its background, of a set of people from the working class who are now a part of the ruling class. I can tell you this on behalf of my president, who served as the Minister of Agriculture for a very short time, that we are committed in transforming the country. But agriculture is an important sector of industries. It is a backbone of this country.
The forum brought together leaders, experts and business decision makers from South Asia and beyond.
A report by the International Monetary Fund revealed that artificial intelligence is poised to significantly impact Asia's economies.
A report by the IMF highlights that AI may widen inequality, but effective policy measures can mitigate these effects. The IMF's analysis reveals that about half of all jobs in the region's advanced economies are exposed to artificial intelligence, compared to only about a quarter in emerging market and developing economies. However, many jobs in advanced economies can be complemented by AI, enhancing productivity rather than replacing roles altogether. The concentration of AI complementary jobs in advanced economies could exacerbate inequality between countries over time. The report also indicates that AI could increase inequality within countries. Workers in service, sales and clerical support roles are most at risk of displacement, while those in managerial, professional and technician roles are more likely to benefit from AI. Additionally, women are more likely to be affected by AI disruptions due to their higher representation in service and clerical roles. To address these challenges, the IMF suggests that policymakers implement effective social safety nets and reskilling programs for affected workers. Education and training to help the workforce leverage AI's potential will be crucial, especially in emerging economies. Furthermore, governments should establish regulations to promote ethical AI use and data protection, mitigating the risks of AI AI-induced disruptions and capitalizing on opportunities for economic growth and improved productivity. This report underscores the need for proactive measures to ensure an inclusive AI transition and highlights the potential for AI to drive economic growth if managed effectively.
In a significant stride towards enhancing Sri Lanka's aviation infrastructure, the Hinguraguda runway is undergoing a major transformation to meet international standards. This ambitious project, spearheaded by Sri Lanka Air Force, aims to accommodate widely utilized A320 and Boeing 737 aircraft, marking a pivotal development in the nation's aviation capabilities.
The transformation of the Hinguraguda runway is currently in progress to meet international standards and accommodate widely utilized A320 and Boeing 737 aircraft operations. Following extensive consultations with key stakeholders, the Sri Lanka Air Force was entrusted with the design and construction of the runway. The ambitious plan is divided into 4 distinct phases, with the first phase focusing on the construction of the main runway. This phase includes 7 stages, and the initial allocation of funds facilitated the completion of stages 1 and 2, resulting in the asphalt binder course for 850 meters of the total 2,500 meter runway. Prior to proceeding with the final asphalt wearing course, the RDA consultant team recommended conducting a test landing on the completed 850 meter section. A Y-12 craft piloted by the commander of the Air Force, Air Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa, successfully conducted the test landing on the 13th of January 2025, marking a significant milestone in the project. The next stage of construction, which involves extending the runway by another 850 meters, was scheduled to begin on 15th of January 2025. With approval granted by the President, the project aims to complete the full 2,500 meter runway, ensuring it meets the operational requirements of larger aircraft.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.